Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com and ClimateViewer.substack.com. Geoengineering governance. What does it mean? Why does it matter? Is geoengineering legal? This is a question I've been asked many times. And, of course, some news happened. So it's time to talk about that thing again, those technocrats, that United Nations, and why they're trying to get global governance of geoengineering. Talk about that and maybe some sounding rockets used for geoengineering, a couple other things. We'll break it down for you. If you're watching this anywhere else, come over to youtube.com/@ClimateViewer, hit that subscribe button, gently smush that like button if you like this video, and you can go to connect.climateviewer.com to support my work, check out my websites, and follow me on all the social medias, including my BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. Heads up. So about 2 months ago, YouTube and Rumble apparently broke up, and I didn't get the memo. So I was looking at my Rumble channel and none of my latest videos were there. So just a heads up, I will be using Restream probably on the next video. So next Sunday, I'm going to be setting it up and streaming live to all the things. Up to this point, I've been streaming to YouTube and then it automatically goes to my BitChute, my Odyssey channel, and Rumble. But apparently that broke down. Regardless, we'll be live on Rumble next time. My good friend Frank at quitefrankly.tv is trying to get me on Foxhole. So new things, new places, new faces. Gonna be fun. So what the hell is going on over here? Over on my Substack, I wrote this yesterday, and United Nations geoengineering governance fails again. And why do I say again? So this happened before. I think it was circa 2019. I was too lazy to look it up, but basically the United States and Saudi Arabia shut down the last attempt to have the United Nations govern geoengineering. So what is geoengineering governance? Basically, it's the idea that there is this thing called the Environmental Modification Convention. It is the weather warfare ban of 1978. It bans long-lasting, any type of environmental modification technique that has long-lasting or severe danger to human health, any of that sort of stuff. So the point is, if you do geoengineering, you would actually be breaking the NMOD treaty. So in my previous Substack, I talked about it, how geoengineering could lead to World War III. And this is one of those reasons that a violation of the NMOD treaty could be perceived as a threat, an act of willful threat to other countries. So for the most part, weather modification activities are legal in your country, and geoengineering is legal in your country. But if you modify the weather over your country and then it affects another country, oh boy, now we're going to have some problems. If you modify the weather on the West Coast and it injures states on the East Coast, nobody ever knows about it, so there's never any liability. That's something that should change as well. But it's even more important when you're talking about entire countries doing things like solar geoengineering. If you were to block out the sun, if you were to try to attenuate the sun through sprinkling fairy dust in the stratosphere, that will affect all weather worldwide, period. So they want to have basically the same thing that happened with that 2020 thing that we are not allowed to talk about, how those companies that made that thing got blanket immunity from any kind of lawsuits. The geoengineers want the same thing. They want no liability. They want to be able to have somebody else to blame and somebody to protect them. So coming up with a global framework of geoengineering laws would allow a country to do what Bill Gates and David Keith, Ken Caldera, the big geoengineerings, the 100 million tons a year of sulfur in the stratosphere, that kind of stuff. So let's explain, basically what's going on here. So before we do that, you kind of need to understand what non-use agreements are. Over here on solargeoeng.org, this is the Solar Geoengineering Non-Use Agreement. And basically, we call for an immediate political action from governments, the United Nations, and other actors to prevent the normalization of solar geoengineering as a climate policy option. Governments and the United Nations must assert effective political control and restrict the development of solar geoengineering technologies at a planetary scale. Specifically, we call for an international non-use agreement on solar geoengineering. This effectively would be a ban. So when you look at the solar geoengineering non-use agreement, it effectively is a ban because it's saying take this off the table. And I am fully on board with this idea. If you've never heard about it, now you have. You should talk to other people who are in this community that want to stop this. Support a non-use agreement, because that would take it off the table. Say, go plant some freaking trees, you climate cultists, but no to geoengineering the skies, no to blocking sunlight, for all the obvious reasons that I've gone over multiple times. So what happened? Tail of the tape. Nations failed to agree, ban, or research on solar geoengineering. So, they didn't agree to ban it. They also didn't agree to research it. It was a stalemate. And, on the one hand, you might go, well, damn, we didn't get a ban. But at the same time, damn, they're saying, damn, we didn't get an agreement to do research and to, eventually lead to global deployment. So this is actually a win. If you look over here, this was at the United Nations Environmental Assembly number 6 in Nairobi, and it happened February 26th through March 1st. So the articles started rolling out. This one's on the 29th, and the one from the ETC group, withdrawn resolution on solar geoengineering at UNEA 6 is a victory for common sense. And I just included the whole damn thing in my Substack because this is pretty good stuff. But the African group at the UNEA 6 highlighted the African Ministerial Conference on Environment, AMSEN, call for a solar geoengineering international non-use agreement. However, some of the highest emitting countries, especially those already investing in geoengineering research, opposed the mention of precaution in the resolution and wanted instead to study the risks and benefits of solar geoengineering technologies, thereby prioritizing research institutions and programs that are already led or heavily influenced by geoengineering advocates. That's a lot of words. So, translation. The people that were advocating this already are doing geoengineering experiments, and they wanted to be able to do more. And the African group, which was also joined by Colombia, Mexico just banned geoengineering, Fiji, and Vanuatu, they were all on board with the non-use agreement. So, as these things go, a big argument ensued, a kerfuffle happened, and nobody agreed on anything again. So where does this leave us? Well, it means that there are no laws blocking this. in case y'all didn't know, I was late for this because I was mowing down on some spaghetti. So I'm trying not to burp on the microphone because I ate 4 freaking pieces of buttered toast with a huge, we had penne with our spaghetti sauce, and it was just the bomb. So my brain there's no blood left in my brain. All of it's in my stomach. Oh wow. Yeah, that's the way it be sometimes. But there were some highlights from this that I thought you guys might find interesting. I'm going to skip over this, but basically the Convention for Biological Diversity introduced a moratorium on SRM and other forms of geoengineering in 2010. However, the United States did not sign that agreement. So the United States never agreed to stop experimenting or doing outdoor experiments with stratospheric aerosol injection or any other type of SRM. This is never always left out of anything talk about the CBD 2010 agreement. Let's see. Where am I at? Did this thing jump? Okay, I want to go down to the other one because this is the ETC group one. All right, so here's some highlights from this that I think that you guys might find interesting. African nations, and on the other hand, were opposed to anything that enables SRM. In a letter to the chair of the talks, seen by Climate Home, the African group chair, Alik Muvandika, proposed a global governance mechanism to prevent the use of SRM, or non-use in UN parlance, arguing that the risks to the environment are too great and that the option of SRM undermines real climate solutions. The letter added, this is a quote, "There are efforts to use Africa to justify the use of this dangerous technology, often with the argument that the risk of climate change must be weighed against the risk of deployment of the technology. This is what he called a false dichotomy." So it goes back to what I've been saying all along. It's that Oppenheimer argument. Climate change is so dangerous. We got to we got to at least experiment and be ready to do global geoengineering on a monumental scale because we may need it in the future. And basically, Africa's like, don't use us as your damn excuse for this. In fact, we don't want solar geoengineering, period. Bravo, gentlemen. Bravo. The UNEA talks on the issue were not public. Of course they were not public, because if they were public, I'd be like showing you the highlight reel right now. It always doesn't it concern you that every time people go to any kind of United Nations event, which is supposed to be representatives, on your behalf, making decisions that you're going to have to live with, that these sons of bitches never ever make it public? I mean, like, you're going to try to decide the fate of the entire planet, whether you block out the sun like the freaking Matrix or something, but you're not going to like make everything, the discussions on both sides, just make it transparent. If you can't even be transparent about the damn discussion, how can we ever trust you to be transparent about geoengineering? I mean, shit. You can't. This is the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. So that's why I will never trust the United Nations. I barely trust my own government because they lie and they hide and everything's secret and it's not transparent. And if you're not being transparent, you're probably up to nefarious intentions, because if you had what was the saying that the NSA said? You have nothing to fear if you have nothing to hide. What you so scared of, bro? Play the tape. My God. I mean, like, let me see what the hell you bastards were talking about. And I want to hear it straight from the African group's mouth, I want to hear it from the United States, my government, arguing that we should do geoengineering. I want to know which son of a bitch in my government was at that meeting arguing for geoengineering. That way I can call that son of a bitch and tell him what a son of a bitch he is. You cannot have a representative republic if you don't know who's representing you. And whoever's representing us here is not doing it in our best interest. That's my point. The UNEA talks on the issue were not public, but annotated texts seen by Climate Home show that Africa, the African group's position was supported by Colombia, Mexico, Fiji, and Vanuatu. The draft resolution shows the U.S. and India opposed the African group's call for a repository of existing research on SRM. What? Like, what? The draft resolution shows that the U.S. and India opposed the Africans group for a repository of existing research on our SRM. Now, if you don't think that's shameful and that's insulting, let me translate it for anybody who doesn't understand what they mean by a repository. They just were basically saying, hey, can we at least like make a website where we take everybody's research from all over the globe so far on geoengineering, and let's just put it in one place so that everybody can read it. And they don't even want to share the damn research. It gets more offensive. It gets way more offensive. However, the State Department told Climate Home that the United States had, quote, expressed interest in supporting proposals for a repository of scientific information jointly hosted by relevant UN organizations, partly due to an information gap that is particularly acute for developing countries. Did he just say that the African group was too ignorant to understand this? Did our State Department literally just said that there is an information gap that is particularly acute for developing countries? That the information gap between developing countries is so great that they can't understand it? Is that what you're trying to tell me? They can't read words and then understand that how dangerous this thing is? You know, that how dangerous solar radiation management is? Like, bro, I want to bitch slap whoever at the State Department even said that. Just make it open. Like, you've already done research. In most cases, it was our tax dollars that paid for that research. We are entitled to know what the hell you're researching on behalf of defense contractors, on behalf of, you know, these climate cultists and these United Nations freaking technocrats. I want to know. You want to know. That's why you're here. And of course. And, you know, I already mentioned this, but it's in that article as well. This is not the first time a proposal for an expert group on SRM has been rejected. The United States and Saudi Arabia derailed Switzerland's first attempt in 2019, with The Guardian reporting that they did not want their research into SRM regulated. U.S. and Saudi Arabia don't want the United Nations regulating, telling them whether or not they can do geoengineering. Reminder, I told you that the United States did not sign the Convention for Biological Diversity 2010 moratorium on geoengineering. The reason why is because they don't give a damn what the United Nations have to say. They're hell-bent on geoengineering. John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's right-hand man, when they did COP21, the Paris Climate Accord, before the meeting was even over, I didn't even have this up. I'm going to bring this up right now because why the hell not? Like, this is a one of my infamous Gym League tangents, but let's go there, okay? So I'm just going to come here to ClimateViewer and I'm going to type in Hillary Clinton because I know it's probably the only damn thing on my thing. DC leaks Hillary Clinton. All right, here you go. DC leaks Hillary Clinton supports geoengineering or climate intervention. This is from 2016. I'm going to drop this in the chat for you guys playing along at home. You're welcome. All right, so it turns out that, and let me find it in here because, you know, this just came to mind. Let me type in, what the hell? Control F, all right. Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, co-founded the Energy Future Coalition Steering Committee in 2010. And the latest DC leaks contain a March 2015 meeting where they discuss how to fund geoengineering studies. Most people know that Clinton is a climate change lobbyist dream come true, but nobody knew that she's willing to block out the sun with plane-spewing chemicals to save us from global warming. This meeting follows the CIA-funded reports of the National Research Council and the National Academy of Science, where the public relations guru decided to rebrand geoengineering as climate intervention. The story goes like this. And if you go through all of this stuff, you know, this is Eric Holdren, this is Obama's climate czar. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but these are the actual DC leaks. And that's John Podesta, in case you didn't know. And John Podesta, guess what? What's going on right now? Isn't John Podesta now the guy they got to replace the climate czar? I'm pretty sure. Hold on. John Podesta, climate czar. Let's just see. Biden pick of John Podesta as climate czar speaks. It's right there. So I'm telling you guys, there is not a damn thing you can do about any of this right now as far as they're concerned, because March 6, 2024, Joseph R. Brandon picked John Podesta to be the climate czar. This is the same John Podesta that was wanting geoengineering before the Paris Climate Accord was even over with. And it's right here in the actual DC leaks. And they said specifically that they wanted to make sure that, you know, they did not mention, it turns out, I understand that, no, where's it at? We're not, here it is. This is Rafe Pomerantz in this discussion with Eric Holdren and John Podesta. What are we going to do? And they said, we're not going to launch a big effort before Paris. We can't, because any big explicit effort of research into geoengineering, even if we agree to do it, is too risky as a political matter going into global negotiation like that. What does this mean? It means that frickin' John Podesta and Hillary Clinton and all these scumbags had already decided that geoengineering was the only way to attain the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement before it even fucking happened. So why are you surprised by any of this, Jim? Why are you surprised by any of this, audience? You let me know in the comments. John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's freaking Axeman, whenever she got beat by Trump and passed out in the back room because she just lost $1 billion and realized they're probably all going to go to jail for all the illegal shit they've been doing, John Podesta's the punk that had to come on stage and give her concession speech. If you guys don't know this already, you probably do. I don't normally get into politics, but guess what? This is very political. It's very one-sided. To my Democrat friends, my longtime climate viewers, if you self-identify as a Democrat, I apologize for what I'm about to say, but only Democrats, only liberals support geoengineering research because they literally all it was Democrats all, Republicans zero when they tried to declare a climate emergency multiple times, and when the bills came up, all the Democrats signed it. because declaring a climate emergency means that you can invoke all kinds of, wartime powers, like secretly geoengineering the damn planet. And when you got punks like John Podesta, who have been supporting geoengineering since before the Paris Climate Agreement, that are now in charge of our climate policy, bro, is it any surprise that it went down like this? So, will there ever be a non-use agreement? I don't know. Calling for bans on geoengineering, if you live in the United States, your own damn government does not care that you don't like geoengineering. In fact, they're the only ones stopping it from being a non-issue. Why? Because they want to control the damn globe. He who controls the weather will control the world. Lyndon Johnson, and it's still going on to this day. Is this about CO2? Is this about global warming? Or is this literally about control? Being able to control the power of the sun, to control who gets sunlight. You can destroy an entire nation's crops. You can control the entire hydrological cycle, where the water falls, where it doesn't. So, man, now that I'm on this Podesta kick, like, it gets me amped, because I don't think that people really get very deep with this stuff. They don't really want to understand, how deep the deep state goes and how all of this plays right into what we're, talking about on a daily basis. Like I said, I try to leave politics out of my discussions, but at the end of the day, and Republicans, I'm going to throw them under the bus too, because guess what? Republicans are like, okay, well, you got these fucking crazies on the other side that say they want to end all fossil fuels, which is a technical impossibility. Maybe we can appease them by letting them have their geoengineering. In fact, shit, we'll pay for it. This is the oil companies. We'll pay for your geoengineering research. Just so as long as we can keep, putting gas in people's tanks, so you guys don't cut the spigot off. And by the way, how well would that actually work? Because have you heard of the yellow vest movement in Paris? When Emmanuel Macron tried to, carbon tax the shit out of the poor, it ended up very badly. Like, all of Paris burned, okay? So, or just look it up. Look it up. Look up the yellow vest movement and the gas taxes and how they almost burnt the country to the ground. So, the oil companies, they know that they're being targeted by these climate cultists. They know that the only way for them to continue to have business as usual is to fork over cash and say, fine, geoengineer the sky until we can figure out some better alternative to continue to make bucket loads of money. Both sides are just as guilty. And I'm not going to, so I'm kind of modulating what I said earlier about only the Democrats are in support of geoengineering. Only the Democrats are really, 100% on board with the CO2 based global warming. Most Republicans are like, that's freaking lunacy. But they both are just as complicit in geoengineering. That's my personal opinion. Even Donald Trump, he was... There's a thing on the ETC group about Trump inflates geoengineers balloon. Go read it. So they're all equally dirty in this, but the United States specifically is like the vote breaker on all of this. And if the United States decided that they wanted a solar geoengineering non-use agreement, there would be one. That's not going to happen. And I don't know how we, the people, convince these people, our government in the United States, to stop. I don't know how we do that, but that's what we have to do. Fossil fuels. Like fossils, like literally all oil is made from dinosaur bones. It's the stupid, but there's oil and gas and methane and all this on all these other planets. But, you know, that's because there was dinosaurs there too also. But whatever, you know, whatever. We'll save that for another day. Just let that one go. Woo-saw, woo-saw. John Podesta, go away. United Nations, get out of my house. Not going to think about you anymore. Interesting thing. Had this paper in my you know, my bucket of things that I've, you know, read before. But Stella Q in our Telegram chat. If you haven't joined Telegram chat, if you use Telegram, I suggest you do. Stella sent me these two pictures, and I thought they were particularly timely. From this document, this is from 1965, National Science Foundation, Weather and Climate Modification. Kind of goes to what we were just saying, so I'm going to bring this up. Check this out. So, get out of my way with this F11 crap. But the lack of federal authority to stop activities which interfere with the contaminant federally supported programs renders federal governments powerless to protect its programs from the actions of privately supported parties or state and local instrumentalities except by voluntary arrangements. Thus, the Commission recommends that the federal government, by appropriate legislation, be empowered to, wait for it, delay or halt all activities, public or private, in actual or potential conflict with weather and climate modification. By the way, in 1965, geoengineering was called climate modification. There was weather modification and climate modification. Just so we're all clear. In actual or potential conflict with weather and climate modification programs of the federal government. Whether these programs are conducted for the federal government by its own agencies or by its grantees or contractors. What did I tell you? Immunize federal agents, grantees, and contractors engaged in weather and climate modification activities from state and local government interference. Rhode Island bill, New Hampshire bill, South Dakota bill, Jolie Diane, zerogeoengineering.com. I'm talking to you, girl. What did I tell you? What have I told you? You think that they care that you're going to ban geoengineering in New Hampshire or freaking Rhode Island or South Dakota? They don't care that you ban it all you damn well want to. This is from 1965. I mean, it's from 1965. They do not care. They do not care. They don't give a shit. Immunize federal agents, grantees, and contractors engaged in weather and climate modification, geoengineering. I'm just going to translate it for weather and geoengineering activities from state and local government interference, and provide to federal grantees and contractors indemnification or other protections against liability to the public for damages caused by federal programs of weather and climate modification. We at the National Science Foundation, we suggest that, you basically have the power to tell states and private companies, you can't do geoengineering, you can't do weather modification because it might interfere with our weather modification, the stuff that the government and the military is doing. And while we're at it, let's give them protection from liability so that nobody in the public could sue the federal government if we do geoengineering or weather modification activities with your tax dollars. Let's with the IRS's gun, point it at you and say, pay your damn taxes. Then take that money and block out the sun. And then when people die or are hurt by their weather modification, or can I link this, please? Salvatore says in chat, it's all in the Substack. It's already in the Substack. Go to the Substack link. It's linked to the top of this chat right now. When you go to climateviewer.substack.com, please subscribe. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. If you really appreciate the work I'm doing, please sign up as a paid subscriber. Really aren't any extra benefits other than if I get enough paid subscribers, if I can finally make enough money doing this, I can do this full time. And can you imagine what I could do with 40 extra hours a week to actually travel up to DC and find John Podesta's ass and put him on camera and put him on blast? That's what I would do. I'm just saying. So yes, everything I'm showing you right now is already on there, including these photos. Shout out to Stella Q in my Telegram chat, t.me/climateviewer chat. t.me/climateviewer chat, all one word. Link to the Telegram chat also in the details of this video. So they don't care. They just don't care. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Another one. As to the regulations, some 22 states have enacted laws regulating weather modification. Most of the states require licenses. One state prohibits weather modification activities entirely. Anybody know what that state is? Let me know in the comments if you do. It's a puzzle. While these statutes have had little effect on weather modification activities, there is a distinct possibility that they may interfere with desirable federal programs in the future. Now, why does it matter what the National Science Foundation is saying back in 1965? Because wait for it, because who's paying for all this crap? Who is funding geoengineering? Right here. Oh, wait. That's the National Science Foundation. They're the biggest kid on the block. They're the one spending more money in the United States on making geoengineering a reality to this day. European Commission, NASA, DECC DEFRA in the UK, NERC in the UK, ESPRC UK, the Royal Society, Fund for Innovative Climate and Energy Research, FICER, that's Bill Gates. These are the people funding the geoengineering. So you think that NOAA and the National Science Foundation care that you're going to try to ban geoengineering in a state? Bruh. You're delusional. And these are the authors that write all the papers that make all the money studying this stuff. These are the people that don't want to share their information with all the other people in the world, because if they did, they might come to the conclusion, this is a bad freaking idea. Going on, let's get even deeper. Here, let me open this one up in another window so we can get full size. These are all of the global network of solar geoengineering funding. Sources: funding for solar geoengineering from David Keith and Company, and Surprise et al. Economic interests and ideologies behind solar geoengineering research in the United States. Source: Solar Geoengineering Non-Use Agreement 2022. And what you see is, oh look, yep. National Science Foundation funds the Geoengineering Model Intercomparison Project. Cornell, Climate Engineering, all of these things. Silver Lining over here, NGO, Marine Cloud Brightening, FICER, that's Bill Gates Venture, the Solar Radiation Management Governance Initiative, which also helps in George Soros's Open Philanthropy. Fund the Decimals Fund. FCEA is the Forum for Climate Engineering Assessment. C2G, Open Societies Foundation again. When you start to look into this, you realize there's so much money involved in this already that, like, any chance that this is going away anytime soon is dwindling very rapidly. And I I get more and more frustrated by the day that people don't want to understand the size and scope of all of these things going on. All this information is available. The stuff I just showed you on this can be found on climateviewer.com/geoengineering, and it's literally the first question on my frequently asked question page. Who's funding geoengineering research? Opposition to geoengineering calls for global ban. 27 reasons to ban solar geoengineering. Solar radiation modification will kill people. Geoengineering computer models are flawed. Geoengineering maps and essential reading, all on here, in addition to my PowerPoint presentations on this. One for all the, real sciencey people, and one for dummies that want me to speak redneck for you. So you can check that out. And then you can download the PDF for yourself and just go through it and, have an exact copy of the entire thing to send to all your friends and all of that stuff. And it's the entire freaking history. This one's 87 pages long of weather modification, all the way leading up to hurricane steering, geoengineering, and all of that stuff. But anyway, boy, did I digress. Let me do some wrap up here. We were here. Another good one from my friend George in the Telegram chat. This one actually refers to, this is an oldie but goodie, 2009 stratospheric albedo modification by aerosol injection. And what do they say here? Past attention focused on guns and airplanes as a mean of lofting aerosols or their precursors, but large sounding rockets are cheap, energetically efficient, and can be designed to inject aerosols at any required altitude and involve little technical risk. So this may be new to you. Clearly not new to me. Weather modification technologies, and it is number 2, sounding rockets. Sounding rockets are used in concert with HARP and things like that. So typically a sounding rocket like the Black Brant rocket would be fired by, in the case of HARP up in Kona, Alaska, the Poker Flat Research Range. So at Poker Flat, they would fire a Black Brant rocket up into the upper atmosphere, into the ionosphere. It would release trimethyl aluminum, barium, strontium, cesium. If they did it off the coast of Wallops, you probably heard of these, where they release lithium during the daytime, because lithium is the only one of those chemicals that's visible during the daytime. I like to call these chemtrails from space. So I've been talking about sounding rockets for a long time, learned about sounding rockets from Rosalind Peterson herself, and Dr. Rosalie Bertell. So did somebody just say, I did not, Frank, you're not supposed to talk about these things in public. You told me you were going to keep it a secret. Shout out to Quite Frankly in chat. Everybody go, if you have not subscribed to Quite Frankly, you're fucking up. QuiteFrankly.tv, that's my homeboy. Everybody go say hi. When you subscribe, tell him I sent you, because I took his virginity. Anyway, so yeah, sounding rockets is a big ass thing. What else we got on here? Oh, the last big thing. Mind control. We got to mind control people with geoengineering. If you did not know, Frank, I was talking earlier about, multi-streaming, and I am going to actually talk to the dude about setting up the foxhole, because the next stream that I do, I want to be able to do that thing. And you talked about syndicating the thing. So I'm going to call you about the thing that we talked about, syndicating the thing, where I can stick my thing in your thing, and then your thing will show my thing to everybody. You know what I mean, Frank. You know what I mean. Anyway, on to mind control, and we're going to sum this up very quickly. Landmark study shows the global south, and they're not talking about, rednecks like me in South Carolina. Everything not south of the Mason-Dixon line. We're talking about south of the equator. Landmark study shows the global south is more supportive of solar radiation management geoengineering. In a landmark study out today, Baum et al. Finds the public in the global south are more supportive of solar radiation management, research, and the prospect of deployment. Pete Irvine, I'm talking to you right now. I'm going to tell you, just like I told Ken Caldera, whenever you frame questions to get the outcome you like, that is not an actual poll. That is perception management. That is mind control. That is propaganda. How do I know this is propaganda? Pete, you know I know, and I know you know. Now we're going to show everybody else how this works. So, I'm going to bring this up. This is what I'm not going to read you all of what Pete said. It is linked on the Substack post already. Go see it for yourself. Sweet. Thanks, Frank. This is the post. So, public perceptions and support of climate intervention technologies across the global north and global south. Now, of course, Pete is quick to point out just, the pictures. Who was map showing countries surveyed in this? So as we can see here, these are the actual countries that were in the survey. A lot of gaping holes there. Wonder why they didn't ask Mexico. Maybe it's because Mexico just banned geoengineering. Probably don't want to get their opinion on this. But anyway, I don't see Fiji anywhere on this map, or Vanuatu. Oh wait, Colombia. It's not in there either. So when we started this video talking about the countries that were at the the UN Environmental Assembly 6 in Nairobi, Kenya, that just happened a couple days ago. It was African countries, Mexico, Colombia, Fiji, Vanuatu wanted a ban on geoengineering. What's wrong with this picture? None of those people are represented. They did not ask any of those countries. It's pretty obvious why. So then they come to this, and this is the level of stupidity going off right here. Here is their point scale system, and they explain that basically, that anything a 1 would be strongly opposed, a 3 is indifferent, and a 5 is strongly agree. The only thing I can agree with on this chart right now is right here: afforestation and reforestation. It is the highest on the chart all around for both groups. Blue being the global north, this green color being the global south. Or I got it backwards. Light blue is global south. It's up here in the top corner. So in the global south and the global north, everybody agrees the most popular idea is plant freaking trees. Okay? But when I see stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening, and space-based geoengineering, the global north, it's lower, but it's still right at a 3. According to their methodology, this 3 is indifferent. Whereas trending towards a 5, strongly agree, the global south trended much higher.
I'll start the ball rolling here. I want Jim to do this full time.
God bless you up in CT. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, this has got to be some bullshit. Okay. There's got to be some bullshit here. I smell bullshit. There's no way that many people agreed that this would be a good idea. And they explain, whiskers extend above and below the box to the minimum and maximum values in the sample population are 1.5 times the length of the IQR, whichever is close to the median. And then they talk about outliers and all that. So the bottom line is this. I'm going, Okay, so how was this poll formed? Because that's what really matters to me. How much information did you give the people that you were polling? Because did you tell them the full truth? Or did you just give them a quick little glossing over? Because I cannot believe in any freaking alternate universe that this many people would agree that stratospheric aerosol injection is a good idea. Even if you believe that freaking the whole world is going to burn because of global warming. So then I came to this. This is the supplemental material. By the way, if you want to find this yourself, you come all the way down here and it says supplementary information and you click right here. And you always got to read this because I want to see how honest these freaking people are. And they're almost never honest. But at least the guy, they didn't show who, the actual sample size. It's supposed to be 30,000 people in total from all these different countries. This is the part that lets you know they are completely and utterly full of shit. How do I know? I don't want to spoil the fun here, guys, but supplementary figure 2, information text for all climate intervention technologies. By the way, they had an app that people just downloaded and then it would run them through the questions for this survey. That's kind of shade, but here we go. We will now provide you with some background information on a few technologies. In the remainder of the survey, we want your feedback on these technologies, so please read the text carefully. To make sure you have understood them, the next slide will have 1 or 2 short questions to see how well you understood the very little bit of fucking information we gave you. In order to do that, in order that you do not feel the need to rush, you will only be able to click to the next slide after 15 seconds have passed. So you must read this. Now, this is all they literally said. Stratospheric aerosol injection. This aims to limit the effects of climate change by using planes or balloons to spray small particles, aerosols, in the upper atmosphere. That's very generic. You didn't even say stratosphere. Don't want to confuse the idiots that you're asking these questions to, because that kind of shit matters. Anyway, just into the upper atmosphere. Anything above the troposphere, I'm assuming. Let's just go there. My snail mail, Angie's in chat. My snail mail is on my website. If you, I'm pretty sure. Hold on a second. Let me look, because now I'm confused. Connect.climateviewer.com. No, it's just on my about page. It's on climateviewer.com/about. And I'll show it. It's right here. So, yeah. If you go to about, like if you click on the about menu right here, and this is the about me page right here at the bottom, it's right there. So address 25 Trip Drive, Sumter, South Carolina 29153. Yes, my address is on my website. I'm that damn crazy. But yes, it is available there. Anyway, back to the thing. Where is it at? So, stratospheric aerosol injection. These particles would reflect sunlight back into space. This could cool the planet. This could cool temperatures on Earth. But for this idea to work, we would have to do it and keep doing it continuously. If we stop, temperatures would rise once again, and probably very quickly. This would not do anything to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions or help other impacts such as ocean acidification. Now, you let me know. Let me know in the comments, let me know via email, whatever. Jump in the Climate Viewer chat on Telegram. Let me know. Do you think this is sufficient for a newbie, a novice, somebody who has never even heard of this technology to make an accurate decision on whether this is a good idea or not. Because I'm certain that it's not. I mean, this is leaving out big gaping holes like... thank you so much, Geoengineering Norway. And Geoengineering Norway, you did get my email about reusing my stuff and translating it and all that. I'm assuming you got it. Let me know in chat. But I'm assuming that was you that asked to use the thing also. And I said, go for it. Thank you for your super chat. So this is unacceptable because they left out a really big thing, and maybe people should want to know about it before voting on it. It'll freaking kill you. I mean, you might want to put that one in there. I mean, I personally would think that it would be much more honest if you were going to do something like, you know, poll people on all this kind of shit, that you just be honest with them and say, you know, well, I don't know, maybe it could kill you. You know, there's 27 reasons it's a bad idea. How about you mention that, you know, 27 reasons it's a bad idea. Only 3 reasons it's a good idea. So of all of these bad reasons why solar stratospheric aerosol injection is a dangerous bad idea, you mention what? That, you know, if you start it, you got to continually do it forever. It's kind of like heroin. You can't stop doing it. You leave that out, and that it doesn't reduce greenhouse gas emissions or help with ocean acidification. I mean, this is the kind of just intentional, deceptive polling that there's no doubt, you know, Baum et al. 2024, they'll be holding this shit up like, we did it. We got people to agree that geoengineering and blocking out the sun is a good idea. Meanwhile, they literally lied to the people who were being polled. It's the huge lie of omission. And Chad Baum, you and your cohorts, you guys know damn well what I'm about to show. And if you've been watching this channel long enough, you also know what I'm about to show. How about the fact that it'll kill people? How many times do I have to show this? David Keith himself, geoengineer, you say it.
This is a really important moral point. So if I made a decision, or if there was a collective decision to do a geoengineering program, and you put, say, the kind of program I think makes more sense to put about 1 million tons a year in, but let's say, you might end up killing many tens of thousands of people a year as a direct result of that decision. I think that has moral consequences. I don't sweep it under the rug. So this is a case where I take this much differently from Alan and think it's a much more serious issue. Now, it's true that as part of doing that, you would hope that the overall benefits of human mortality would be so that you would save many, many more people than that. But the fact that you would save more people than you killed doesn't mean there's no moral impact of
doesn't mean there's no moral impact. Oh, by the way, let's not mention that to anybody that we poll on the question of, is it a good idea? What do you think about this idea? We're going to give you a very short, informative discussion on what these topics are, and then have you vote on them. Then we're going to rate them and make charts. And then we're going to go around bragging about how the Global South supports geoengineering solar radiation management when they literally had this to fucking go on. I mean, come on, people. Space-based geoengineering, just as bad. I mean, like, they're like, oh, it'll be expensive, you know, there'll be, you know, this. No mention of any of the big problems. No mention of, you know, all the actual risks, because the risks outweigh the benefits, period. I'm going to leave it at that. That nature piece, that public, you know, every time they do one of these perception audits and then come out of it going, woo, 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 woo. Hey, everybody's cool with what we're doing. Nobody ever who understands the dangers and the risks and the unknowns and the unknown unknowns that could happen as a result of dumping 1,000,000 tons, let alone 100 million tons of sulfur into the stratosphere. When the guy who's saying it says many tens of thousands of people will probably die, that means he doesn't even know how many people will die. He just knows that people will die. And when you leave out something as glaring as people will die on this technique, none of the other techniques mentioned on that poll, not sucking CO2 out of the air, not planting trees or any of the rest, only the solar geoengineering ideas will kill people. You are a liar. You are a shameful human. You are a scientific piece of shit. And that is how I'm sorry for all the cursing for this video. I know a lot of people have requested, hey, Jim, can you tone it down? Can you, I'd like to be able to share this with other people, but it's your language. I'm sorry. This shit gets me animated because I don't like deceptive scumbag technocrats pushing an agenda that will directly lead to the depopulation of this planet when my fucking children are on this planet. Come at me, I can handle it. Come for my kids, I'm coming for you. That's the way I feel about it. That's why I'm passionate about this geoengineering pollution problem, and I will be for the rest of my life, to the day I die, or to the day they literally say unequivocally, this is a thing that shall not be researched. This shall never occur in the future. And even the accidental geoengineering that may be occurring, we're going to try to stop that too, because people deserve clean air, clean water, and clean land to grow their food in. Period. Live free or die. Well, guess what? We are all going to die. I just like to be able to live free and breathe freely while I'm still here. I think that you do too. That's why you care. I mean, you obviously care if you sat through this Southerner bitching for an hour straight. So since you care, please remember to share. I greatly appreciate everybody who's supported me over the years. Thank you to the more than 2,000 people who've already subscribed to my Substack. And definitely thank you to the super chats up in CT Geoengineering Norway, and anybody who's supported me monetarily, the paid subscribers on Substack and my Patreon members. We're getting there. Like, I hope that someday soon I'll be able to quit my security guard job and be able to hit the road and get in some people's faces, and literally record all of the fun, because there are a lot of people who are able to advance this agenda step by step without anybody who understands it well enough to argue with them about it. And I hope to be able to do that in the near future. Until then, I will continue to rant and bitch and moan on streaming platforms as long as they allow me to. And as long as God keeps me on this planet doing it, I promised him I would. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. And to everybody else, now and no one's half the battle. So please use this information to attack ideas, not people. See you on the next one. If the video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.